this is the progress report. Here it is, April 12th. My goodness, we're almost in the middle of April. Next week is the Boston Marathon, tax day. April is the cruelest month, as TSLA once said, breeding lilacs out of the dead land. But it is spring, and it's pretty nice out. Flowers are beginning to bloom.
Yeah, we've got better weather coming toward the end of the week.
Better weather's coming, and it's going to be pretty warm the next few days, and people will be out and really enjoying things. And the city of Manchester will be more vibrant than ever, because there will be people back in the outdoors dining and, carousing outdoors on the sidewalks and the permitted areas. It's all going to be
Private
wonderful.
business taking up the sidewalks that I pay for.
The curmudgeon is next to me.
Giving us revenue.
How did we get by before? I have no idea.
In any event, as we look at the city going forward, we couldn't do better than to have one of our most contributing public servants here, and that's Ward 3 Alderman Pat Long, who's been a frequent guest, and he's always welcome and always has a lot to share. And he has not only that title, but he also is a member of the Great and General Court, served many times representing Manchester, usually, and probably this time too, as the Manchester Delegation Chair.
Correct, yeah.
You have that again?
Yep.
So he has insights about both what's happening at the state level that can affect the Queen City, and providing governance and support for the Queen City at one of its most critical places, which is downtown.
Not to mention world-class volunteer.
Yeah.
And all, as I put in the blurb, all-around good guy.
All right.
Which he certainly is. So, Pat, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
We're glad to have you here. As we were just waiting to come in here, you were getting me pretty excited talking about some of the things that you think are happening, particularly in downtown, that are exciting. And I had not heard about some of these things. So I'd like you to tell you about what you see coming up that's, opening up new vistas of opportunity.
Well, we just had a ribbon cutting for Big Belly trash bins. Have you seen those? They are self-contained. They compress. DPW usually picks up a trash bin 2-3 times a week. This is once every 2 months. Or
Really?
3 months, yeah,
Oh,
because
really?
they compress. All they have to do is roll it out, put their forks under it, and dump it in the truck.
So there's a compressor in
There's
each
a
can. I've
compressor.
seen them on the street corners. They're
Yep, these are
out
the
and
ones.
about.
The ones that we were in front of is the ones with Fruit Loop. Jen Drosiak helped with the art on those.
Yeah.
So it's
When are these
pretty
arriving?
excited. Actually, there's one right across from 1000 Elm Street. That's the Fruit Loops one.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
And what's the thinking behind this? The old trash cans weren't working properly.
Well, they weren't. They're open air, so you get windy. It was windy. I was getting a sandblast to my face. They're open, so when it's windy, plastic bags will fly out. Light stuff will fly out. It's just
and you're
complicated.
compacting the trash and taking up less space in the landfill
Exactly.
or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, New York City, I know, has required everybody to compact their trash.
They have
for-
the same company has.
I mean,
told us today.
that's been true for decades.
They have 750 of these in New York City.
Wow.
And so how'd that all happen? To go out to competitive bid, 3 or 4 different companies came in with proposals? and
No, they came to DPW on this. The Central Business Service District paid for them.
which is a private fund?
Correct.
Set up by businessmen who,
Yep,
who own...
they wanted it for downtown, and that's how it happened. There's about 5, I believe, going in. Yeah, so
this will be for downtown businesses, not citywide?
it's not citywide. It's down for downtown, not businesses, but for how often do you see cups or what have you?
But it's a kind of a communal thing. The businesses got together, funded this. They took the proposal, said,
Right.
"Hey, this is a good idea." They're funding it.
Yeah, there's
and it benefits all of them by making downtown a more pleasant place to
Cleaner,
be. It's
easier,
a little bit
cleaner.
cleaner.
Exactly.
Also, probably sounds like it might save the city a little money on pickup. You don't have to stop
Correct.
at those.
Yeah,
cans,
we're
at
at
least.
7 days a week. 7 days a week pickup in downtown. So this will curb some of that.
And organic material can remain in there for up to a month and not
Yep,
cause
there's-
problems outside of the can?
No, it
Odors,
doesn't smell.
anything like
That
that?
was one of the questions, because when he opened it up, there was already garbage in it and you could smell it. But when you close it, and there's a pedal on the bottom for, if you don't want to touch the handle, but ADA, the handle's for ADA use. He says, no, it's self-containing. When that door shuts, you don't smell nothing. So, yeah.
Wow. Are we the first city in the state or the region to do this?
I haven't heard it anywhere in the state. Actually, I believe he did say Boston has some of them also.
Oh, very interesting. I had
Very,
Well,
and it's
that's
all
real
it's all
interesting,
sun panels on top.
Solar panels.
Solar panels.
you get a little
So it's
juice.
all run by solar panels. It has measuring where when the trash gets up to those lights, it'll compact it, and then when it's full, it'll ring the DPW. It'll flag them saying,
Come get me.
Yeah, you got a full one. Here it is. This one right here. So
Well, that is-
technology.
that is pretty cool.
hadn't heard about that.
A solution to a problem I didn't even know we had.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Constantly bags.
Well,
and
that's
cuts.
a great.
Well,
feature
it's a
of
wind
our
tunnel.
process.
I can
Yeah,
understand.
exactly.
I just didn't realize it. Might have been there. Didn't realize that
Right.
it had become
Yeah.
an issue. But I suppose if you're a business owner and you're out sweeping up your sidewalk every morning with those
that's
coffee
right.
cups and stuff
That's
that
right.
blew out of the
Yeah.
trash can,
I think
that
this will
must
be a tremendous enhancement to the
Yeah.
people who want to have a good experience.
I'm going to go down just to watch
a
one
lot of
work.
the,
I want to be there when it compresses. I want to see what that looks like. I'm
And a
gonna
lot
check
of
that
the
out.
lot of the storefronts, businesses changes. Where we have a high demand. Talking to Eric from Mito, we have a high demand for use downtown store frontage. So a
Really?
lot of them are being filled. I mean, it's nice. It's warmed up now. It's nice to see downtown flourishing again. People are walking around. People are.
Coming out of COVID, the businesses that were able to survive, good for them. But it's not surprising that there was
No,
a
that's
bit
right.
of attrition.
Yeah, there's a shakeup.
But build up demand.
Right.
How's the planning department? Are they
Planning department.
they
I sit on
helping
I sit
new
on
businesses, or are they-
no, well, actually, it's Mito that's helping new businesses.
Understood, but I
they
mean,
are in planning also. With Mito there, planning gets it. Actually, Jeff Belanger, the director of planning, is just plugged in. We're scheduled next, actually the 24th. The Manchester, there's a state house. The speaker set up a housing commission and a daycare commission. The housing commission on the housing situation in the state of New Hampshire. So we're scheduled on the 24th to, they want to hear from Manchester for an hour at their committee, what we're doing, what we feel the state needs to do. And Jeff was all on board with absolutely. Let me, just let's be a matter of fact. Let's give them facts. Here's what the city of Manchester's doing. The ADUs, we got a plan coming where you don't have to come to planning board.
Is that a good thing
It is a good thing. Yeah, because
in all cases?
in all cases, yeah, in all cases. Well, staff will know.
I'm skeptical.
No, well, yeah, but taking those regulations away is going to be so helpful. I just recall these two women in their 80s that came to us. She handed a piece of paper, which she drew what they want to do. They want their sister, they weren't sisters, but one of them wanted their sister to come live with them, but they have their own apartments. It's a 2-tenement. They wanted to add an ADU for one of the sisters. So they came to us with this drawing, and we ended up passing it. It conformed with everything.
boy.
And
You guys are hitting all my hot buttons.
And we passed it. And we passed it that night. And these two women stood up clapping. Oh, hugging each other. And I'm like, why do they have to come before us?
Yeah, why do
it's
they?
not necessary because
And now it's not
because
gonna
it's
be
clear.
necessary.
The ordinance is clear that staff. The only issue that we've raised is if it's going to look different than the house. If you got this red barn look with a blue house next to it. We want it to be conforming with what your house looks like. And those, out of all the ones that we've seen so far, and we've seen over 25, 30 of them.
That's frightening to me because I'm telling
it's-
you, those auxiliary dwellings, they become a nightmare as soon as the owner leaves. As soon as that building is sold, the neighborhood pays the price for those
how's
ADUs.
that?
You get 3,000 people moving into one building, and their cars are up and down the street, and they're parking on the grass. I can show you pictures.
I haven't shown because I have not seen that because
I'm here to tell
because
you.
the new owner has to reside there, and
Yep.
that's one unit.
With-
that's an ADU
With
unit.
2 families of his children, a family of grandchildren, and an aunt.
Okay, well
know.
that's happening in the
It's the
inner city.
owner.
That's happening in the
No,
inner city
it is
because
also
of lack.
it is also happening.
But that's not caused by ADUs. That's caused by lack of housing.
Understood. Understood. There we go. Now that's what I'm saying. I don't want to debate you, but I'm just. I've
right.
made my
Yep.
point. ADUs, it's not a good idea. Sounds good if it's not in your neighborhood.
Well,
If
it's a
in-
state statute.
I know.
You're required.
Understood.
It's-
Understood. I was
it's-
opposed to it when they passed the statute.
We can't say no.
Well,
It's-
understood.
I tell you where it
They're a
is.
bad
Alvin.
idea.
I got right now. There's probably about 12 elderly that are calling me with respect to their apartment went up. They can't afford it. So try to find a place for them. They can't even afford to move
I
their stuff into
understand that.
storage.
No,
They're
I
begging me
understand
to
that.
please. Do I have to get? They're going to lock me in and they're going to lock me out, and they're worried about their furniture. However, I've been successful in, I recall one from Amherst. She had a daughter in Amherst. And I asked her about, do you have any family? She goes, yeah, in Amherst, but, they wouldn't, she wanted to put in a in-law apartment. They wouldn't let her.
Yeah, Amherst won't let anybody do
Really?
anything.
But now it's required by law. They got to follow
Yeah.
their rules. And when I told the
Until
daughter
they're
that,
sued, they're not going to do it.
and I told the daughter that when I called to talk to the daughter, and she was excited, saying, I says, it's required. You have to follow their rules. I don't know what Amherst rules are. You have to follow their rules. But yes, you're absolutely, they cannot deny you. She wanted to do this for 6 years. And here's her mom struggling
and
week to week.
that statute's been around for a while too. Probably 6 years.
Yeah,
or so.
about
It's been
6
around
years
that
or so.
long,
Yeah,
I'm-
so-
I'm
so there's been a
against it,
couple-
but,
there's been a couple that,
I understand
yeah.
we're stuck with it. But again, I understand there's this knee-jerk reaction. We don't need regulation. We don't need regulation. I agree. Over-regulation's a bad thing, but. This is not the wild, wild west, and everybody that wants to do something has dozens of neighbors. And if you want to go to you want no regulation, go out in the woods, build a log cabin in a place that doesn't have government, and you can have that. But if you live in a city, you got to be regulated.
You know what I mean? Every ADU we've seen at the planning board, not one neighbor came forward and said, I'm opposed to this.
Well,
Not one, because
I'll email you
they're
some pictures.
They're done well, and
I'll
the
email you some
staff
pictures.
and the staff knows, what we're looking for. It's not, we're not adding an ADU in the front lawn.
Yeah.
It's got to be in the back. It's got to be over a garage. It could be detached now, so you could build a garage and put one in. But it is helping with housing. It's in a
Which is
small way.
Such a critical
in a
need we
small
have
way,
in
it's
the city,
helping.
isn't it?
Yeah.
What other things can we look forward to happening in Ward 3 downtown? This has been very interesting to hear about the compaction.
Yeah, well, they're starting. Actually, I believe you can go online and they're doing a movie night. The movie nights they're going to be starting, and you could
Where's
you could
that,
go
at
online
Veterans Park?
at Veterans
like
Park.
they used to
yeah.
do. Oh, those
yeah.
are fun. When my grandkids
Oh, really?
actually were very
Yeah,
young.
they agree
used
with
to
that. Yeah, we'll
So
take
that'll
our
be a
granddaughter
summertime
there.
thing that will go right through the warm season?
Right through the warm season, and I believe you could go online, city website, and ask them to play a certain movie or whatever.
Oh, really? Cast your vote for
Cast-
for a favorite.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a list of movies or you just put in, I want Batman.
Have we
Well,
ever
it is-
done that before?
Oh, yes.
Oh, the movies we have, but requesting what movies you want to see, I think this is the first time.
okay.
we
Must
do
be
this.
technology driven, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, that's Mito. What a great investment we made there
Yeah, you did.
with Jody Nazaka and
yeah.
Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good night, and I also think that the city needs to promote positive use of the parks.
Right.
Parks can be scary now, and we need to get people who are not scared to get out there and occupy them and do the things that parks are intended to do.
No, that
And-
absolutely.
and that
I agree.
will keep them in that state.
I agree. I mean, there's a purpose for parks. for those that don't have greenery, for the elders to be sit out in a, if they want to sit in a bench and watch people, let's do it.
Yeah.
It's not a
You know,
bad way to
But there
spend
were
some
a lot
time.
of factors that were preventing that from happening
No,
in the
that's
city of
right.
Manchester
That's right.
over the past few years. But
That's right.
Not least of which was COVID. People
right.
just weren't
Yeah.
going out. But when that happens, then things change, conditions change, and we have to kind of get people back into the frame of mind of going.
Well,
out to them.
well, that's the thing. But like with COVID, you had to re-message yourself. The same with the downfalls of the parks. Now that we're ready, they're cleaning them up, and we're ready to have events. You got to resell it, re-message it, saying, people from Merrimack, hey, come on.
One time
come
we
watch
thought
a
we
movie.
might actually have park rangers going around our parks.
We got 3 of them.
We do?
Yeah.
Are they going to be on duty this year too?
They will. Yeah, they're being paid through COVID, so their salaries are through 26.
Oh, that's great.
Through ARPA money.
Well,
American
that's
Rescue
great.
Plan money.
That sounded like such a great idea. Just make people enjoying and not abusing the parks and,
How are
and
3
offering
people-
help to people.
3 people going to take care of. We got a lot. We're very fortunate. in
They're
Manchester.
covering them.
We have a lot of parks.
Yeah, but some of the parks don't need that much attention. There's a few that get a high demand of attention.
Yeah.
So their jobs are to make sure that people are enjoying it and
Yeah.
getting recommendations of what do we need to do here.
Yeah.
That is actually the Parks and Recreation. I guess they call it Parks and Cemeteries now.
No, it's Parks and Recreation.
Parks and Recreation. That is.
And cemetery, actually.
And
Parks
cemeteries.
Recreation.
I mean, just to put that at the end, I know why they did it. It's very descriptive, but it kind of, Parks, Recreation, and cemeteries. I mean, it
Yeah,
just
well,
kinda
that's their
brings
response.
it down.
Cemeteries are their responsibility.
Understood
also.
completely.
Cemeteries are park for the deceased.
No, I understand.
Well, I mean, Valley Street
my
was a-
tongue is in my cheek with that one.
Valley Street was a park/cemetery
Yeah.
in the day.
Yes,
you know?
and a beautiful one it was.
Yeah. It
was indeed.
But we're very fortunate in Manchester that we have the kind of recreational opportunities a lot of other cities don't have. Not only do we have the parks downtown, which the MSK laid out very visionary at the time, but we also have a municipal golf course, a municipal ski area, municipal skating rinks. I mean, we really do a great job.
And the disc golf, we got that?
I don't even know about that.
Disc golf up
that's
on,
a thing.
Was that Mitchell?
It's down on the south end, isn't it, somewhere?
Yeah, I,
Oh,
I
is
went
it?
there with my.
Is it up
I
at
went
like
there with my
Brownad Park
wife's,
there, up behind the cemetery? Is that where it is?
I believe so. That's. I went there.
I've never been
couple
down
years
there. Have you
ago
ever
down
tried
there.
it?
I did. It's interesting.
It's a thing. I'm very unfamiliar with it, but that's where you kind of, instead of golfing, you're throwing a frisbee
You're throwing
disc,
a
and,
frisbee
and there's a
disc,
chain basket, kind of
Yeah.
like a basketball
got
net
it.
that you got to get it in there. And,
Yeah.
I've seen it on TV. Never tried it myself. And actually, that's kind of, you don't have to run. That's kind of a sport that I might
it's
be
not-
able to
yeah.
do.
Yeah, and it's some of the pars are curved. It's quite the art.
I actually
There's
saw.
probably some dedicated people that like to do that
Oh
a
yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, they had a tournament there.
And do we have pickleball places in the city?
Oh, we do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Play those. You just play that on tennis courts, though, right?
The
You don't need a special court for that.
well, you
right?
do. It's a smaller court,
Yeah.
but they redrew lines. For
Oh, great. That's
tennis.
great.
Tennis has been
All
going
these things we
down,
can
and
look forward
They're
to.
doing a pickleball now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's and that's Manchester's history, and that's Manchester. The outside recreation.
Yeah.
Actually, we were just talking. I was talking to a couple of reps about the Sununu Center. There's another opportunity, 135 acres.
Very nice land.
What do you sell it to a developer and
Oh, we need housing.
put 1,500 units up there?
I don't know if
I
I'd
don't.
be.
As
I kind of like to preserve some green up there. I mean,
Well, that would be nice. I think.
I mean, it's
I'd like
along
to see
the
a
river.
nice,
It's
a
wonderful.
nice affordable housing development go in there. Hundreds and hundreds of units. That's what I'd like to see go in there.
Yeah, mixed use is the best way to go. Having buildings just affordable housing doesn't help anybody.
Except for people who need an affordable house.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, you could do it in mixed use. You don't have to do just affordable housing. Mixed use is the way to go. Why? Because you're living with people that, if you need a job, their company's probably looking for
Yep,
someone.
understood. So a little commercial in there, and of course you'd want some
there's
amenities
help.
too.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And like the one on Pearl Street, you're not going to know the difference. They're not down downshifting
the
cost on
days of
affordable
the
housing.
housing project
They're going to
are
have
over.
the stainless fridge, the
yeah.
stainless, it's, you're not going to know who's in what. And like I said, it helps with getting a mixed use of people in there. You happen to be looking for a job. I happen to work for a company looking for workers. You could have that conversation.
Now, this building that is pretty striking right across from the market basket, that looks like it's pretty close to being ready for occupancy.
Yeah, actually, they got a
Does any of that
groundbreaking.
got some affordable units in there? Is that part of it? No.
No, you're not required in New Hampshire to require. Actually, there's something I'm bringing forward that Nashua does. I didn't realize it, but my understanding is that when you allow increase in density, what Nashua does is when a developer comes and they want to increase in density, Nashua will allow them to do it if they will give them the density if they build so many affordable housing units. And if the developer doesn't want to build the units, they pay X amount of dollars towards the Affordable Housing Trust. Evidently you could do that. So I'm bringing that to Manchester
absolutely should be
because
done.
how many increase in density?
They're always coming in for
huge,
that. Yeah,
huge
always
increases in density. And you know what? You're not forcing a developer; he doesn't have to do it. I mean, a lot of developers talk about the paperwork. Well, if you're going to get the tax incentive, it's going to be paperwork. But if we increase your density, by 50% more, a couple $1,000, 1,100 isn't going to break you. We're not going to ask for 50% of them to be affordable. We're going to say 10, 15, 20, or whatever.
You always aim low. You guys got to aim higher.
Well, you aim higher and you shut that program right down.
No, I hear what you're saying. I understand.
They're gonna fight you more. Just take a little bite and let's see how that goes and work from there.
The only paperwork developers like has got Ben Franklin's face on it.
No, that's right. That's right. But I mean, again, it's sitting on a planning board. That question is asked: will there be any affordable housing? And the answer is no. It's going to be market rate. And I mean, they're a business.
We have rights in this country. I understand
They're
that.
going to get the best bang for their buck.
Totally understand that. Totally understand that. I may be opposed to the idea, but I understand where it comes from. But that's why the city has to get creative. I know my company works in Boston.
Right.
And whenever you put in a residential unit in Boston, you have to provide in that neighborhood, down the street somewhere, an affordable unit.
Right.
I mean, they're at 50%.
That's state statutes in Mass.
Yeah.
Mass, New York. I mean, they all have the what do they call that?
Both sides.
What, rent control? Is that what
Well,
you're
it's
thinking?
rent control, but it's there's another word for it.
Stabilization.
Yeah. But anyways,
Anyway,
right.
Yeah.
But
and
that's
they have much more leverage too.
but we can do it with increase in density.
Yeah, as long
So
as
you
there's a
can-
quid pro quo for it. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think we should do that.
I agree.
One of the things that I've been hearing about that I think is quite exciting is the projects to add connectivity to the city between the mill yard and the rest of the city with the. Is that all approved and going to go forward? With what was called the RAISE grant? That
It is the RAISE grant. It was
so
a build grant.
when
now it's a
are we going
RAISE
to
grant.
start seeing that? Move
I
forward?
believe it's RFPing right now. Request for
Really?
proposals to expend that.
Yeah.
I know the Granite Street light synchronization. I believe that is going out for RFP, and the walkway over Granite Street to like the Fisher Cats
Oh,
area.
that'll be a nice improvement.
Yeah, I just had a guy email me on the issue with those lights with bikes, and
Yeah.
the bike doesn't want to wait for the light. The lights are long.
They're brutal
Yeah.
at that intersection.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But you just said
when you're
something
there.
that I had been told was completely impossible, doesn't exist in this universe, and that was traffic light synchronization. Is that a thing that can happen?
Correct.
And I'm
Yeah.
being a little
Well,
facetious, but I live near Willow Street, and are you kidding me?
You can get the latest of technology that would take care of that problem.
Yep.
However, that's at a high cost. We were able to get a federal grant to do the Granite Street because Granite Street is not synchronized well, and
No, he's waiting for
we don't have the capacity. Our current capacity, we can't synchronize them like they need to be. But this new technology that we're going to be putting in there, they will be
So
able
I'm just
to
going
do
to, I
that.
understand Granite Street's downtown. I understand it's the gateway to the city. I understand that at rush hour, it is a major funnel to the highway. I get that. It's what, a mile?
Yeah.
Willow Street, also a state highway, a major funnel for commuters, jammed with traffic during traffic, and what, 6, 7 miles long? No attention?
Yeah, no, well,
Why are we just?
first of all,
why
you
is
said it
my
right.
neighborhood getting?
Because this is a gateway, and it's
As is Willow Street in some
impossible.
ways.
It's impossible with the Fisher Cats events. It's impossible with the arena events. It's impossible with Millennium running downtown. So every time there's an event like that, people could be turned away saying, yeah, I don't believe I have to sit in this traffic for.
Yeah.
40,
Agreed. I think you get
45
what I'm
minutes.
laying down, though.
No,
there
I
are many
I
other
agree.
problems that have been festering for even
Second
longer.
Street's
you
the same way. Second
Yep.
Street's the same way.
Yep, I've tried to maneuver that too.
There's that's going down there.
Yeah.
I've heard too many people talking about Willow Street saying, I never go down there. I see why. I drive down there. I go down there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I don't
you're
have a
right.
choice. That's my commute.
Well, that's weird. Yeah.
That's my commute, and it takes me longer to get to the highway than to get from the highway to Goffstown.
Yeah. So take care of a problem. There's always another one.
Yeah. Well, I'm just a little
let's-
jealous
let's
that
address
Granite
it.
Street kind of jumped the line because Willow Street has had a problem before that bridge was even built.
Yeah. Yeah. My heart hurts for you, Mike.
Oh, biting. Still not fair.
So, let me just talk to you a little bit about an issue that's perennial. We never seem to get the complete handle on it, but I think we've done some things. The homeless issue in Manchester, and the latest thing was over your objection, I know, Pat. We created something that was going to be called the Department of Homelessness, and then they decided that wasn't a good name, and what is the name they settled on?
Housing stability.
Housing stability, yeah.
That's what the governor called his council.
Housing stability.
I don't know, what was it, 4 or 5
And
years ago when
I
it set
know
up.
Will Stewart was
when it was
apparently was
initiated.
anxious not to have it called the Department of Homelessness, and I can kind of understand that. But, we had the terrible results earlier in the winter with all those people camped out right beside the families in transition.
Pine Street, Manchester.
Yeah, on Pine Street, and everybody could see them in the round sun. It was really hurting. And that's part of the city too, right? And Ward 3 includes that.
Yep.
And it sounds to me like the city did some significant things to address that, some of which are maybe, not going to continue, like 39 Beach Street was made available for emergency.
We extended it for 2 more months. So
We got 2 more months.
the end of June.
Yeah.
And then we'll revisit it.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I think we need a place. I think we need to keep it.
Yeah.
We're obviously going to keep the Brook Street. The YW is administering that. It's for women, up to 16 women. It's been doing well. I mean, what kind of blew me away, I've been doing this homeless stuff for 10 years in the encampments. 8, 10 years ago, you'd see 2, 3 women maybe in the encampments. Then Pine and Manchester Street, I was blown away by how many, there were 15, 16, 20 women. I'm like, this is problematic. And then when the last time I was there, the police that was there, the officer that was there says, hang around for like a half hour and listen to what they argue about. Well, I hung around, and within a half hour, there was 4 or 5 fights over whose girlfriend she is. So they're not living a good life. That has got to be tough. So I thank God for Brook Street. That's working out well, and I think that ought to continue. Good news is the city requested the county for some ARPA funding, $518,000 for our shelters, and the commissioners voted yes. Now it's the 21st. It goes to the executive committee to move it over. So I'm massaging all the executive committee members to make sure I get the votes for that.
Which, in case folks don't know, when I was on the executive committee when I was at the
That's
State
right.
House, and I didn't even know it existed like the day before.
Right.
It's
Right.
actually a committee of state legislators who meet regularly up at the county offices
Yeah.
to administer as kind of the legislature of the county.
Correct.
And
Yeah, we're
they-
delegates to the county.
and they're like an executive board because all of the legislators from the county make up the county delegation.
Yeah, there's
who have the ultimate
122.
vote.
There's 122 legislators in Hillsborough County,
And Pat,
there's
if he didn't have
22.
enough to do, was always served as a chairman or vice chair.
Yeah, I was last term. I was the chairman.
And that rotates. I guess Manchester,
rotates
Nashua,
Manchester,
and then
Nashua,
the
and the
towns.
towns,
And
correct.
they have a group. And by the way, those are also voting blocks within the executive committee that you have
Exactly.
to politic with. So
Yeah.
I wanted to bring that up because I'm telling you that is
Yeah, a lot of people don't
hidden
realize
piece of government.
the effect that a county could do. For example, the nursing home. Director Ross does a nursing home. This guy is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Plugged into the elders, just fantastic. Unfortunately, he's short 140 people, so we closed like 40, 50 units, and there's 135 waiting list. So I mean, we're giving them.
Yeah.
The county got opera funding. Also, we're giving them a yearly stipend and $150 a week to increase that that pay for them.
Yeah.
But we're still not able to attract and retain.
Well,
It's a recurring problem in the state of New Hampshire. We can only afford a skeleton crew. Statewide.
No, you're right.
Statewide.
You're right.
I mean, I've talked to old time state reps when I was up there, and they say, we're a skeleton of what we could be.
Well, this Medicaid expansion that the House was successful in getting in, Minority Leader Wilhelm was able to negotiate. Why? Because they needed the Democrats to pass this budget.
yes, they did.
And he negotiated well. And this Medicaid expansion from over here in behavioral health.
It looks like it's going to be permanently authorized.
Well, let's hope that it stays.
hope
Yeah, that's the
comes
issue,
back
right?
with the Senate. That's with the Senate.
Yeah, I think it's a good
But
chance.
that's going to help with all these lack of workers in all these service fields. Manchester mental health. They're lacking in.
Well, the budget provides a
therapists
pretty
and-
decent, maybe not as much as we would hope, but a pretty decent increase in the reimbursement rates for these people, right?
Correct.
That are
Yeah,
so
correct.
so vital to
Yeah.
running
And-
this
and-
system.
and-
Decent's an interesting term. It closes the enormous gap a bit. I mean, the
Yeah.
gap between fair market
yeah.
rate and the reambrsment rate to these doctors is
Well,
it's
like homeless shelters, where they were getting $8 a bed per day,
Yeah.
and it's costing them $30 to $40 per day. So
Yeah.
that's going to increase at least to 20. So it's a little more helpful.
it's still a losing proposition.
Well, they want to keep it at 8.
I-
Same
oh, no,
with
I-
school
I-
funding. They wanted to keep it to where it's currently.
I understand that, and
it's
you
moving up.
understand that too. But you know, and I know, and
Oh,
Bob knows that
it doesn't-
that is not how to run a railroad. That's not going to get the job done. And that's what you and I were arguing about out before we walked in
No,
here.
that's
It's
right.
like, I get it. It's not there, but I'm going to keep yelling. We need that money. We have to get it somewhere. And
Yeah,
if,
no, I agree.
I mean, we send a lot of money down to Washington, and we don't get dollar for dollar back. I'd like to see our delegation down there.
We've been fortunate in Manchester for a couple of the grants that we got from our federal delegation.
Yeah.
Congressman Pappas
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Senators Sheen and Nassen.
I hate to be that guy, but it's still not enough. We,
Yeah, well, it's never enough,
We're
right?
always we got our hands
It's
out.
never
enough.
The problems are always
I,
overwhelming.
it's enough.
resources.
Let's get the projects done.
Let's use what we
Let's
have.
get the
I hear you.
projects done and go back.
So the state budget, which was an astounding result. I really think Matt Wilhelm deserves a lot of credit.
Absolutely.
Maybe you got to get some. Maybe you got to give some to Jason Auburn too, because he could not have got this done without. He could not have got this done without the total support, with maybe one or two exceptions, of the Democrats, who are almost equal to the numbers of Republicans in the New Hampshire House.
I mean,
And, and
Representative Wilhelm had the leverage.
He had the leverage.
He had the leverage.
and
he
he
knew
used
that.
it well.
I mean, they got their fractions there. There were 35 to 40 or even more people that were not going to vote for the Republican budget,
Yeah.
so they needed us.
They did.
And it's the first time in a lot of terms where it was a voice vote.
And
To
a
pass
voice-
the budget on a voice
And a voice
on a
vote.
voice vote.
I certainly never
know?
heard that happen
Yeah,
when I
no,
was serving.
no.
How do you think this budget treats Manchester?
Treats Manchester well. Well, first of all, I knew it was going to be a good day. Representative Leapley gave the opening blessing, so I thought, Manchester's going to have a good day. And we did. Representative Heath, Mary Heath, was awesome.
She always is.
She's plugged into the budget, plugged into the education aspect of it, and other scenarios. Representative Alexandra Murray was successful in, there was an initiative to spend money on the borders for some reason.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That lost
It seemed to me like
by
a real
lot of money.
symbolic thing, you know, by people who wanted to make symbols.
Exactly, exactly. She argued successfully. She got a strong vote.
So this is good to hear.
No, exactly.
Good news. Good news.
So Manchester was well represented in that budget conversation.
And what do you think about the city budget that now is?
The city budget, the mayor's at 3.37. Her budget. She increased schools to their cap, which is 4.96. They're looking for technology. They have these TVs that you could write on and erase, and I saw them in use. They're awesome. The teachers love them. So they're looking for a little more of that, and they're also looking for some equity initiatives. However, the House passed budget is like a $5 or $6 million increase to what the governor proposed and what's current.
For education?
For education.
For education
okay.
adequacy
Yep.
grant. So I got to call Superintendent Gillis to find out whether or not what that money can be used for. Can it be used for technology? Can it be used for your equity initiatives that you want to finish off?
Is that funding within the tax cap where they would have to override to accept the money? That's the part of the tax cap that I just don't understand. You can't even take money.
No, they can take that.
Okay.
Yeah, they can take that. That
I asked because I didn't know.
That has no play. No, it makes sense too. It does make sense, right? I mean, you're going to increase your budget by $6 million.
Well,
and
things
not
are looking
gonna
pretty
affect
good,
tax
Pat,
cap.
from what you tell us here. Here's another subject that's near and dear to my heart. Michael Wentz, maybe. Why is Manchester not moving ahead with community power? Is something going to happen on that?
I'm not
finally?
wincing.
Yeah,
I'm all for
I'm-
it, Bob. I'm with you on this one.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot about that. I'm hearing a lot of towns that voted for
I mean,
it.
it's underway in places
I'm not,
like
I'm
Keene.
not, I
Saving
mean, I
money all
hear
over the
from
place.
Rick Maynard all the time. It's just not my bailiwick. I mean,
Yeah.
you were my go-to guy for any of those issues.
The opportunity, tell them.
Well, I know what happened last time you went to that committee.
Yeah.
I don't know why that blew up like that.
Well, and I feel bad that I did not get back on the horse and go into that breach again, because I've talked to Will Stewart about it, who's now going to be a candidate for mayor, obviously, and he said, well, now we've seen what other cities are doing and it's moving forward. I think it's time for us, and I would say it definitely is, because at the state level, as maybe Pat, we're getting nowhere in advancing good energy policy.
Oh, right.
In fact, that's something as Sununu aspires to be aspires to be the United States. Somebody's got to call him on his lack of leadership or
Well, we had some
benignness on this.
successes during the budget on that stuff too.
Oh, good.
Actually, we had one House session where, like about 2:00, we realized we were in the majority by 15 reps.
Oh, really?
Pulled
Attrition?
Stuff off tables and okay, let's go, bang, bang. Where
I remember
where
those
they
days.
called a recess. They called a recess.
Yeah.
That speaker called
Made a few
"Whoa,
phone calls,
recess.
come
Wait a
back,
minute. Hey,
please."
what's going on? Whoa, what's going on here? But it's and that's what's fortunate about the House being so close. The Senate's going to come to appeal to the House again. The Republicans are going to have their division. They're going to need Democrats. Let's not be extreme.
Yeah.
Let's not be extreme.
Yeah,
You want, we want.
Yeah.
And Matt, Leader Wilhelm negotiated that well.
Yeah. He certainly
You
seems
get,
to have done that.
that's
I think we can be proud of what he's done as the leadership
Yeah,
of
that-
the Democratic caucus.
and that's
Which he's
what he's
almost
got in his
he's
hands.
almost the co-speaker because it's that close.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get back to this community power, though. I mean, is that something that the alderman can take up? How does that work? That's a consortium of towns. I mean, do you have to do outreach?
It
Who
can
organizes
be
that?
a single community, and Manchester is the biggest.
I mean, it's
municipality.
literally, it's
Manchester's gonna do
21%
it.
reduction reduction in electric rates in the pocket of everybody in town.
Well, it depends on how the bidding goes out for the power that the community is going to buy as an aggregator for its own accounts and for its citizens.
Agreed, but we saw it happen once. And that
Well, I
was-
mean, I think it's time to look. Now
It's
that
time to
now
move
that
forward
there's a
with this.
lot of towns that passed that, and there were some larger municipalities that is Nashua
and Nash
involved?
was involved. Is from
So
what I
now we have a
understand.
history to look at them and see where that's going and
Yeah.
what the actual savings are.
Yeah.
And
And by the way,
capitalize.
there's a terrific young woman down there in Nashua who's really been key to this. Doria Brown, I think she is. I think we've had her on the program, but she's, and there's great resources out there, between Henry Herndon and other people that have this. And the legislature's done the work so that the authority is there for municipalities to move on this. So I hope they'll maybe take this on the part of your.
we could bring it forward.
Speaking about legislature done the work, I want to circle back. You were talking about education. I'm getting a sense that there seems to be some momentum building for making the school district a taxing power on its own. And you're the one that passed the statute that would allow
I did that a couple of terms ago.
Yes.
Was
Yeah,
it?
you worked hard on that.
So,
Yeah.
Mike, I'm just asking you. Do you?
Yeah, I don't
feel
know.
that, or-
I don't know if there's a flavor to bring that back. I don't know. I mean, I talked to a
Didn't that
couple of
come-
aldermen that aren't.
Didn't that come down
don't want,
on the vote on
don't
the
wanna-
amendments to the city charter? That was part of the amendments to the city charter. And there was a
correct.
whole bunch of them there, and,
Correct.
because somebody didn't like this one or that one, none of them got passed.
Right.
Am I right about
Right.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
and I'm not. I mean,
Yeah.
I spoke to two aldermen already about that, and that's not something they want to take on this year.
Yeah.
This is the opportunity
Yeah.
because it's a city election.
Yeah.
The state doesn't allow us to put local questions
Yeah.
on their ballots.
Yeah.
So,
Is
But-
your statute, your enabling statute, is that still in effect so that the city, or was that a one shot during this year they could do it? I don't recall how you're.
the autonomy initiative.
Yes, where this, yes.
Yeah, that was just a there's a statute change required.
Okay.
But if we get a census of it would have helped if we got a census back then of the voters.
Yeah.
If the voters said yes, that would have helped at the state level, saying,
Yeah.
this is
Yep.
what Manchester wants.
Understood.
So then I also put in an ordinance to increase the mayor's salary to $100,000.
Oh, you did that?
Oh, and the union leader jumped all over it, saying that it was an indication of how little the Board of Mayor and Aldermen thought of Joyce Craig, that they would wait till she announced her departure before, suggesting a pay raise. And my thought is, you never do a pay raise to an
Current.
incumbent.
No, that's right.
You always do the pay raises at the end
right.
of an incumbency.
Yeah. This had to be done
But that,
8 years
they're
ago.
snide. They're
This had to be
union
done 8
leader.
years
That's
ago.
that's the
Yeah.
attack.
And
they make,
100,000. Currently, the Nashua, the mayor of Nashua makes 126,400.
Right.
And he gets an increase every July. His increase is CPIU, an average of 3 years. So whatever Manchester's tax rate is, that's what he gets for a raise. So in July, he's getting a 4.96% raise.
Yeah.
And they start off at 78,000. So that 100,000. There's no escalator. It's 100,000. 68,000 hasn't been changed since '97. I just it's a 24/7
You
job.
can't get an assistant project manager for $68,000.
No, exactly.
I mean, we're lucky we've had the quality of leadership that we've had in Joyce, with.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And,
But you kind of have to
miss her.
be almost independently. She's not wealthy, but you have to be able to. You can't rely on that.
No, as your
your income.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
a
part-time
part-time
pay.
job. It really
that's
is.
part-time
And I know
pay.
that sounds very elitist to some people. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but I know what the market
Well,
is.
you're literally 24/7.
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
She's up at 4 or 5 in the morning, at City Hall, going
she
home
really?
at 10 o'clock at night.
Is she really?
I mean, you're going to all these ribbon cuttings and
Yeah.
events that you have to
Yeah,
show up to.
it's not like you're sitting at the desk working, But,
and you're
but
dealing
you-
with all the departments
Yep.
on a regular
And a
basis.
fire happens, the phone rings. A
You gotta-
disaster happens, the phone rings. You got to
gotta-
get
And-
there.
And putting together a budget for the city can't be easy either.
And dealing
No,
with you aldermen.
no, that's right. Yeah, well, I was listening to Close Up, and I told the mayor this yesterday. I was listening to Close Up, and Adam Sexton asked, it was Will, Stewart, and asked Will, is there anything that the mayor has done that you didn't like? And I thought, what a loaded question that is, right? My first response was, wait a minute, this is called the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Yes.
So we have that discussion, like you mentioned earlier. I wasn't in favor for the department.
Yeah.
I respect the board's decision to make it a department. So now I've got to work to making that department successful because the city depends on it. The city depends on it. That's right. So, whatever the mayor wants to do has to get it through the board.
Yeah.
So it's not, the mayor is not the dictator that tells everybody what we're going to do. And no, it needs to have discussion and it needs a vote.
Every policy is an agreed upon policy.
Correct.
With give and take. I mean, I watch the meetings,
Right.
For people to blame individuals in this context is really ridiculous, but it's easy to do. And there are people who just enjoy doing it and do it,
Right.
nonstop,
and that's fine.
you know.
That's
An example of that is how long have I've been hearing, Alan Bragg indicted Trump.
Right.
No, he didn't. Grand jury indicted Trump.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, you're
What are you talking about?
right.
There were 25 people in that room.
Yeah. I mean, I've been following the Tennessee Pearson and Jones. I freaking gotta love those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, they are superstars
this,
now, aren't
this
they?
Pearson is
remarkable
love
remarkable
listening.
young men.
I love listening to the guy. He just makes so much
And you
sense.
know what I love? The backbone of the two commissions that sent them right back to the State House.
Unanimously.
And I really would like to see that kind of backbone among the people who govern my
what
life.
this shows more than anything is a tremendous divide in this country we have between urban and rural.
Yeah.
That's what it really shows. These people got overwhelmingly elected and now being put back by urban governing bodies to a legislature that's mostly red, depending on the urban.
Depending on how gerrymandered the
Yeah,
state
and
is.
that's-
There
Oh,
is
by
not
the
as,
way,
there are no
that's-
legislatures that would be
that's a
red without
definite
gerrymandering.
Well, that's
factor.
being heard at the Supreme Court May 11th. The gerrymandering. I guess the Superior Court rejected the suit.
The Tennessee Supreme Court?
No, not Tennessee, New Hampshire.
Oh, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire Superior Court. There was
really?
a suit brought on the Executive Council and Senate gerrymandering.
Yeah.
The Superior Court rejected the suit. The Supreme Court is hearing it on May 11th.
Well, there's
really?
no
Yeah.
doubt in the
That'll
world.
be an interesting
That'll
one.
be.
I was not
I
aware
was
of
reading
that.
a little bit about it.
I might
It seems
even-
like they
I
are
might-
plugged in.
I might even want to go up and listen
Well,
to
that's
that one.
important because New Hampshire has been gerrymandered.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
I think, am I wrong? If you tally all the votes for Democrats in the State House and all the votes for Republicans, the Democrats should control the State House. But because,
I mean, it's hard to gerrymander the State House. You can do it in some instances, but it's very hard.
well, because we have
moving
so
around
many.
the 400.
Totally understand.
But in the Senate and the
it knocked Kevin Kavanaugh out of the
Executive
Senate.
Council?
yeah, in the Executive Council.
yeah.
You're right. It knocked Kevin Kavanaugh out of the
Yeah,
Senate.
I shouldn't have referred to the House.
And
but-
Alderman Trisciani, who worked hard, campaigning for that newly gerrymandered district.
She worked her tail off.
Senator Murphy got in there with a month or 6 weeks of campaigning. No, not even really campaigning.
Yeah.
And it was just gerrymandered so much that he was an automatic.
Yeah.
The winner of the primary wins the election.
Exactly.
In those cases.
That's what
And
Steve Marchand has all the statistics on that. What he calls
we had
it.
him in to talk about
PVI index, partisan voter index.
And the governor and council.
was-
That is easy to gerrymander. The governor and council.
Well, the governor's statewide, so I mean, he's
No, I mean
gotta win. But the council, the governor's council, yeah,
is what I meant.
certainly.
The executive council.
Yeah.
Hey, we're running out of time. I would like to talk a little bit about the vacancy for mayor. I'd like to bring up actually.
Oh, absolutely.
brought a
I
prop with
definitely
me.
wanted to do that too. It is an election year in the city of Manchester. We have elections in New Hampshire every year, and this is the year when it's municipal elections, odd-numbered year.
I thought Kathy Sullivan wrote a very good editorial about the race,
I read it.
and
She
I
did.
just I'd highlighted a few things that I want to bring up.
Oh, good.
Basically, she says there hasn't been a open mayoral election in 14 years in the city. So I mean, this
Yeah, I
is
didn't realize
when
that.
you see
That's-
daylight, go for it, right? Isn't that what
You got
Kennedy
it.
said?
Yeah,
You know?
you got it.
So and so I think it's surprising the low number of people that have actually declared.
Well,
for
sign
the
up
race.
is July, so.
Yeah.
However, you
you're
should
not in
declare.
now, yeah.
You should declare early, or be making your calls.
So
or
she goes on to say, Manchester has grown and prospered under Craig's leadership. Crime has decreased. People don't really see that sometimes. Jobs in the economy have grown. Craig is focused on education, joining with business and institution to improve schools, provide expanded opportunities, and she's partnered with other mayors to press the governor and legislature to accept state responsibility. We've been talking about that today.
Successfully, by the way, on all of those.
Well, yes, but the state still is lacking.
No,
She's
but-
gotten something, but not.
Yeah, but the
whole
state's
ball of
listening
wax.
now because there's more involvement,
And
more cities
she put the
involved.
spotlight on them too, which is important. in
Exactly, and that was
politics.
hard to do.
But what she said, realistically, there are no Republican candidates on the horizon who will resonate with mainstream New Hampshire voters the way Craig can, particularly given the anti-abortion, anti-public education, and anti-science turn to the right taken by the state's Republican Party. And then she goes on to talk about potential candidates. We know of 2 that have signed up.
Right. Announced.
Announced, no signing up yet. There are a few other people. She mentions Kevin Kavanaugh. I've spoken to a few other people that are considering it.
Sure.
I promised I wouldn't mention their names, but I think you know who they are.
Yeah.
And then she talks about this guy Jay Ruiz, who has shown up and pretty much cleared the field. The 2, leading screamers, Victoria Sullivan and. Who's
Gerard.
Rich Gerard. I
Yeah.
only remember him by his nickname, which I won't repeat here.
Yeah.
They've tucked tail and run. They're not going to face this guy. And Bob, a couple weeks ago, I said, I watched this guy on TV. I don't know him, but he's very impressive. He's not one of the clowns that we've had on the Republican side running for mayor over the past couple. He's a formidable guy. But Kathy Sullivan points out he showed up in Manchester like 18 months ago.
Correct.
He worked for Ginta down in Washington, and then he worked in Maryland. And he's kind of a Matt Mowers.
Right.
He got his
Yeah,
carpet bag, and he's coming to town.
I don't know if I call him formidable.
He's well spoken. He's a
well-spoken,
handsome man.
right?
And
but
by
what's
the
his
way,
platform? His platform is I clean my act. I'm going to clean Manchester's act. Yeah, that's not.
No,
That's not a platform that I would bring to the city of Manchester, right? So and there's no experience, so you can't measure what he's done in
But
the past.
he's going to get the votes of
Well, obviously,
the
if
folks
he's the
that-
only,
the partisans.
if he's the only one running,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, but we have strong candidates.
I certainly
very
think we
strong
do.
After the primary, it's unfortunate that it looks like we're going to have a primary, so.
I don't think that's I'm of the belief
Well,
that
our-
primary
our-
There's a
strengthens the
positive side
candidates.
to that too.
Yeah,
It gets a
well,
lot of
I
interest
believe
in
that.
the race.
Yeah, well, when you're not,
And whoever comes out is going to have some name
you're
recognition
not-
as a result.
when you're not forking out the money to run a primary, and then now you got to think of your general election, where
Yeah.
the other guy could save all that
Yeah.
and just bombard you.
And he's going to have a
That's a-
lot. He's
that's a
totally machine
That's
backed.
that's
He's
that's
you know,
yeah.
Do you
I'm
expect-
anxious to see that how much because they're not big givers. The Republicans aren't big. They talk the game, but they're not big. They're not
and
big.
the Democrats, we
contributors.
have the benefit of those small-time donors who will give $25 every
Exactly.
week or every month, and we've got
Exactly.
a lot of them in the state and in the city too. You know who they are,
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not really afraid of that. I think a primary would be very good for the city. It would give these people a chance. Will Stewart, I think he needs some name recognition. June, the last thing she needs is name recognition. She's got plenty of that.
Yeah, Triciani's a
But,
big name out there. Yeah.
And she's a good campaigner. She works hard at her campaigns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you expecting to make an endorsement on this or not?
I'm not going to make an endorsement. I got to work with these guys.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd
Well,
be foolish. I
do you
mean,
think
I'd like
there's
to,
going
but
to be
I,
more candidates getting in, or do you think we got the field pretty well settled now? Or do you know?
I mean, my understanding is the three: Kavanaugh, Alderman, Triciani, and Stewart.
Okay, so you
Kavanaugh.
think Kevin's going to be throwing his hat in the ring?
I'm thinking that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking
Okay.
that. Yeah, and to, has colleagues on the board with the three of them.
Yeah.
We
You
got
gotta-
another 7 or 8 months. We got to do some work here. I don't want to divide that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if I'm a candidate and somebody's endorsing my opposition,
Yeah, you don't want that.
that's just
So you're going to be
your
a
human
you
behavior is
expect
like
you expect to
what?
be a candidate again, don't you?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, good, because the city needs your services,
Yeah.
because you've done so much work and spent so much time on this. Well, very, very good. Let's see if I had anything else here I wanted to go over with you here, really. I think we kind of covered much of the stuff I wanted to
You're
talk
out of
about.
gas, Bob? We got 4 minutes to go. Come
Well,
on. Push it over the line, man.
no,
You can do it.
I'll just do one of my favorite things, about our transportation system and our trail system. And, we're being told that we're going to move this whole operation down to what used to be the bus station on Canal Street.
Yep, the transportation
Which,
center,
and I
yeah.
don't know when that's going to happen. Do you have any idea when that's likely to happen?
I guess your contract expires in a year from June,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. So,
Is there funding
and
to
you-
make that transition? I mean, is
They have, I don't want to say how much. He did say how much. They had enough money. Well, that was my question. Do you have enough money currently to rehab what you need to rehab? And they said yes.
and that's the
We
thing.
could
It's
do
not
it on
just
our
moving
own.
all of this, the lights and the cameras down into that cavernous, empty, concrete bomb shelter of a building.
Well, I'm assuming they're going to take. I'm assuming they're going to. Well,
look
it
like
is.
you're looking forward to
I
this
mean, have
movie.
you been in there recently, Mike? Have you been in there?
I have not been in it.
It is. When I was first proposed, I'm like, yeah, they're not going to want that. There's no room in there. But if you can take down walls, they're not wall bearing.
Yeah.
So you can take down walls and get the space.
Well, we hope it's going to be bigger and better than the current.
Well, it's in the center of the city. It's
We're-
your
we're-
own.
we're not
It's
in-
your own place,
It's your own place.
right?
Yeah.
So people driving into the
Yeah,
city will see
That's great.
public TV.
I'm just going to nostalgically
And,
point out that we had our own place down by the Mill Yard. It was a community center.
Yeah,
It was
I know.
thriving. Hundreds of
I
people
know.
showed up every day.
Iron
Everything
workers
was going
invested
on.
in the air and didn't know. My goodness, you guys.
But and we are going to get a downtown bus station for inner city bus travel.
Yeah, there is. There's I'm not familiar with the details, but there is a bid out right now. I believe there's federal funding coming down
And this will be what at Veterans
to
Park.
move it. No, it won't be at Veterans. It's I wish I should have read up on that again.
That's okay.
It's going to be somewhere.
It's got to be somewhere.
Yeah, it's going to be somewhere where everybody can get to.
Yeah.
But they want to move it away from the DoubleTree area. So.
Someplace that maybe.
Yeah, I would have Mike Winton back on because there's a
Oh yeah,
lot of
I-
very
I think
proactive.
I think he does a
I mean, because he
terrific job
mentioned
of that.
about Sunday. Let's have that conversation.
Yeah, we'll have him back.
What's the need out there?
When we've had him on, it's always been a good show because he has a lot of good
Yeah,
information.
he's very proactive.
And I like his story about coming up from a bus driver. I did not know that we were so hard up for school bus drivers that he drives a school bus in the morning himself.
Yeah,
And everybody down there does, the dispatchers and everybody.
and they
has
had
to
an
get out
issue
there.
with the bids too. Evidently,
It's just
that's
Well, it's a new model. We talked a little bit about increasing salaries in order to attract new workers.
Right.
It's more than that. It's quality of life. It's work-life balance. It's amenities. It's more to it than that to get people to want to come in and do the work. It's not that people don't want to work. It's that they have their priorities of people have shifted. I think over the past couple of years. I think COVID brought something home to this country that we had forgotten about, and I think it's a good thing. Actually, I'm not an employer, so I don't.
yeah.
have
They
that.
don't. What is it called there? Well, first of all, it's a workers' world.
Yeah.
I think it's a workers' world. They're not working to live.
Yeah.
They live and work. Work is not the priority. I got to work. I get that, but I don't have to work 70 hours, 60 hours. I got to take care of me.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah,
Well-
I do too.
We're almost
Well-
out of time, Bob.
Well, just thanks for coming in, Pat. You always provide
Thank
so
you
much
for
great
having me. This
information.
is
I always
awesome.
learn so much from you here. I think we're so fortunate to have you serve the public the way you do, and I hope you'll continue to do it for a long time.
And we got our champion, Senator D'Alessandro. That's going to be right on the budget at the state, so nothing's going to get by us.
Yep.
Well, we are out of time.
Thank you,
We're going
everybody.
over, folks. Don't forget to catch us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and our podcast on Spotify. Please check us out, like us, and subscribe, and we will see you next week.